Well, we'll have those stories in just a moment, but first to breaking news in the Evergreen School District, where hundreds of union members have voted to reject the district's so-called last and final offer. That means no class for thousands of students. Remember, the school year hasn't even started as negotiations continue. Classified school workers, to think bus drivers, paraeducators, have been on the picket line since early last week, demanding changes around pay, staff stability, and student safety. We'll keep you posted on where things go from here. Meanwhile, teachers in the La Center School District plan to return to the picket lines tomorrow. The union is negotiating with the district on a new contract and primarily pushing for better pay. Both sides were at the bargaining table today. It's unclear if they made any progress. To Capitol Hill now, where things turned fiery as senators faced off with Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Alma, there is a lot to break down.
Yeah, and David, it wasn't just Democrats questioning the health secretary. Two Republican physicians on the Finance Committee also called RFK's leadership into question, especially when it comes to vaccines and the erosion of public trust.
Incoming.
On Thursday, it didn't take long before Robert F. Kennedy Jr. clashed with senators during a committee hearing on Capitol Hill.
Under President Trump's leadership, we at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true health care system that tackles the root causes of chronic disease.
While the health secretary touted this as an achievement, lawmakers pushed back against his actions, from efforts to restrict vaccines to the turmoil at the CDC. Here's Senator Ron Wyden, ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee.
It's been obvious from the start that Robert Kennedy's primary interest is to take vaccines away from Americans. During his confirmation process, he claimed to be pro-safety and pro-science, but his actions reveal a steadfast commitment to elevating junk science and fringe conspiracies.
Strong statements that soon turned into a sparring match between the two. Wyden questioning Kennedy's decision to fire and replace all the members of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the panel that develops vaccine recommendations.
This critical advisory panel has lost scientific credibility. After years, colleagues, we spend so much time.
Senator, I didn't politicize ACIP. I depoliticized it. The Congress has been investigating ACIP.
All over the country, Mr. Secretary, scientists and doctors are saying otherwise.
Washington Senator Maria Cantwell bringing up the West Coast states' newly formed Health Alliance, a partnership that will announce its own vaccine guidelines.
You don't want to support that. You don't want to support that evidence. So yes, the governors of the West, Washington, Oregon, and California, will take up the efficacy of science.
Afterward, the president praised RFK for his hearing performance.
If you look at what's going on in the world with health, and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different.
Senator Wyden also requested that RFK be formally sworn in as a witness, meaning his testimony would be delivered under oath. However, that request was rejected by the committee chair. David?
A lot of sparks in that room. Thanks, Helma. Appreciate your reporting. Okay, let's take a look outside now on this Thursday, Friday Eve. Another hot and hazy day in the Rose City it was, with tomorrow not looking much different. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino here with a first look at your weather impact forecast. Hey there, Matt.
Just another warm summer night here in the Rose City. We're at 74 degrees. Humidity's up there a bit. That dew point is 63. We don't often see it that high here, so yeah, a little bit muggy. 88 was our high today. We stayed below 90, but Hillsborough did not, nor did McMinnville or Aurora. In fact, once you get south of Portland, pretty much all 90s until you reach Medford when it was almost 100. Same thing in the Dalles, nearly 100 degrees there. We've got one more day like this before we're going to see a shift in the pattern and things will really begin to cool off. Now, we've been tracking thunderstorms in central and eastern Oregon all night. The lightning has finally ended. There's a few light showers left over. We're really not getting a lot of rain out of this system, but it is marching its way northward and dissipating tonight. However, for tomorrow, we have another one that's going to do the same thing roughly. So fire weather warnings up from roughly Crook County southward into California. We also have a fire weather watch surrounding that for these counties here. Air quality alerts for parts of Lane and Douglas counties, and then a dense coastal fog advisory as well. Washington, the entire eastern half of the state under an air quality alert because of all the wildfires burning up in the Evergreen state. There's a lot of them up there, especially in northeast Washington. The coast is foggy. 57 degrees. That's why we've got that dense fog advisory out for the beaches there. That'll lift in the afternoon like it did today. And tomorrow, though, very much like today, Partly to mostly sunny, hazy sunshine up to about 86. And maybe the last time we'll be in the mid-80s for quite a while, David. We'll elaborate on that and let you know when we may see some rain in a bit.
Yeah, change on the way. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, in Cowlitz County, human remains discovered in 2021 have now been identified as a Portland man who disappeared nearly 30 years ago. Investigators say the remains of Anthony Matthew Croy were identified through a DNA analysis in connection with a private genealogy database. Now, Croy went missing from the Portland area in 1995. Tree planters discovered his skull with 2 bullet holes in it near Cougar, Washington in 2021. The investigation into his death is ongoing. In Washington County, detectives say they have received dozens of tips about a sexual assault suspect that leads them to believe there are even more victims. Sheriff's deputies arrested Drew Hendricks in July, saying he'd kidnapped a 20-year-old woman, then sexually assaulted her at a home in Aloha. They also suspect he abused an 80-year-old man in the same house. Hendricks was also recently indicted in Columbia County for sex abuse and kidnapping. Today, investigators say they have interviewed many more people who reported criminal or at least concerning behavior. Detectives are asking anyone with information to please give them a call. The former Alaska Airlines pilot accused of trying to shut off a plane's engines mid-flight has now reached a plea deal. That's according to Joseph Emerson's attorney. You may remember in 2023, Emerson was riding off duty in a cockpit jump seat when he tried to cut the engines. He was restrained by the crew and the plane diverted to Portland. Emerson said he had taken psychedelic mushrooms a couple days earlier and hadn't slept in over 40 hours. He's scheduled in both federal and Multnomah County Court tomorrow. We'll keep you posted on that. And in Clackamas County, a man has been arrested after deputies discovered him living inside a condo's crawl space. Deputies say 40-year-old Benjamin Booker had set up a bed, lights, and even electronics inside the complex on Southeast Old Town Court. They also say they found a pipe with residue that tested positive for meth. Booker now faces charges of burglary and unlawful possession of meth. Tonight, a debate over roadside memorial signs on Washington highways, the ones that honor crash victims and warn people not to drink and drive. Now, officials say it is time to change the way that program works, which has some families understandably worried. Catherine Cook shows us how you can weigh in.
She was so happy all the time.
Every day, Lori Shaddix remembers her daughter, Chrissy. 18 years ago, Chrissy and her friend Jessica Blank were driving home to Camas when a drunk, wrong-way driver hit their car on SR 14. Both women were killed. After the crash, Lori and her husband did their best to heal.
I just said, how are we going to do this? And he said, we're going to do it together.
They partnered with the Washington State Department of Transportation to create this, a sign with the girls' names warning people against drunk driving. It's now one of 1,026 roadside memorial signs statewide and one of 26 in Clark County.
It's important that when you see someone's name, that's not just a name, it's a human being.
It's why Lori was surprised to hear that the future of WashDOT's roadside memorial program, including her sign, is up in the air. WashDOT says since they started the program in 1994, it's grown and policies around the signs have changed. Transportation officials say they're looking for consistency and ways to reduce sign overcrowding in some urban areas.
And so the question is really about what are the durations that these signs should be in place. Should we have renewals? And, what is that renewal period? And then, what are the different things that we should consider?
To help shape their decisions, WashDOT is asking the public to drop into an online open house to share feedback through October 15th. They'll use it to create an updated program later this year.
And we know that these signs are very personal and that we want to, that's why we really want to hear from them.
To me, removing signs is you're now out of sight, out of mind. It didn't happen. These people are not gone because of bad decisions from someone else. And, what's the use at that point?
Besides the sign, Lori has spent years sharing her daughter's story with convicted drunk drivers and young people. She believes all of it has helped save lives, and she doesn't want that to change.
Probably got an average of like 20 or 30 hugs. And people saying, I had no idea. I just had no idea, and I will never do this again.
In Vancouver, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Portland Mayor Keith Wilson is asking for volunteers and donations to help with the city's homeless shelters and implying that if his plan is not successful, President Trump could send in the National Guard. In a letter to residents on a mailing list, the mayor pointed to needs at a day center in Old Town that's new and an overnight shelter in the Pearl District as well. Here's what Linda Witt, who lives in the Pearl, had to say about troops potentially responding to the Rose City.
I think that since we haven't managed to conquer our homeless issue here in Portland, that it's maybe not a bad deal to have somebody come in that can take care of it.
Okay, just one perspective there. Of course, we reached out to the mayor's office to get more context and clarity about his letter. So far, we have not heard back. Meanwhile, Washington's attorney general is urging the Trump administration to end National Guard deployments in cities across the country. Nick Brown called the deployments, quote, dangerous, illegal, and in violation of our founding principles. He said the president is using the Guard to, quote, create a military state in American cities and to bolster his image as an authoritarian who can do whatever he wants, end quote. The White House has indicated it plans to send troops to Chicago next, while Border Czar Tom Homan and Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer have indicated Portland could be on the list.